South Africa's unemployment crisis has been worsened by the impact of COVID-19 and now stands at an all-time high of 35.3%. Havard University Professor Dani Rodrik says the fundamental structural problem that the South African economy faces is a mismatch between what the country produces and the skills that are required. He says the answer to this is to increase the skills of the labor force. Rodrik says the much-needed jobs will likely come from the small and medium companies.
South Africa needs to grow smaller and medium-sized firms that have the capacity to generate jobs for the millions of unemployed South Africans. That's where the jobs are going to come from, rather than, I think, the most productive, the most exposed to the global economy firms, on which we tend to sometimes focus when we think about sort of how do we make the South African economy more competitive and more globally oriented. It's a strategic choice that I think has to be made, that requires a kind of thinking about priorities in a somewhat different way. It's not a conclusion that I come to lightly, because it does entail a very significant reorientation of the way that we think about our economic strategy.
Deputy Finance Minister David Masondo says South Africa is dealing with the shortcomings of the economy through structural reforms.
On the supply side, the state is trying very hard to create a profitable environment for the most productive sectors of the economy through a whole range of supply-side measures, ranging from the industrial policy, subsidies, and all those kind of things. But at the macro level, we are trying to deal with the supply-side constraint, electricity, water, through a lot of structural reforms that we are undertaking. And I don't think, Prof, or colleagues here, it's a question of labor-intensive sectors versus the most productive sectors of the economy. I think for us is to do both. But I think what you're drawing our attention to is that we seem to have paid less attention on the labor-intensive sectors of our economy.
Professor Rodrik says there should be measures to stimulate the labor-intensive sectors of the economy. This, he says, would have the capacity to absorb more people into the labor market. Gloria Sefakomosi, SABC News, Johannesburg.